It is the ACC on ESPN, and a tall order for the Nevada Wolfpack today as they come to Doak Campbell Stadium here in Tallahassee to meet the 10th-ranked Florida State Seminoles. I'm Bob Wischusen alongside Rod Gilmore. Quinn Kesnick will join us from the field in just a moment. A steamy day here in Florida, and our first chance in 2013 to take in one of the great scenes in college football. And an official welcome to Tallahassee. It is the Noles home opener in this 2013 season. A terrific scene, and this is a community that has high hopes for their football team this year.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool scene out there, huh?
And they have high hopes as well because they've got a quarterback, and it looks like he is a superstar in the making.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, everybody raves about his physical abilities, but I think there's something special about what he has upstairs. He thinks very, very fast. He's a smart guy. Let's go to his very, very first collegiate play. And this is on the road. They're behind. Watch what he does here. He looks to the safety and the outside linebacker, recognizes he's got pressure coming, changes the protection, changes the play, and then an excellent throw right where the blitz came from to keep the chains moving. Outstanding stuff. Let's look further down the line. Here he is. This time he doesn't pick up the blitz before the snap, only after the snap, but he processes this very quickly. Knows he has nothing on the right side, comes back to his left to find his tight end in the middle that was vacated by the safety. He thinks very, very quickly.
They are ready for football, and Nevada football is moving on to a new era. Chris Auld has moved on. It's Brian Polian's turn next. It is a scene played out in the fall every year here in Tallahassee. Osceola spikes the spear, and the 2013 home football schedule for Florida State is underway. Bob Wischusen, Rod Gilmore upstairs, and Quint Kesnick is downstairs. Quint?
Well, bad news for Nevada. Starting quarterback Cody Fajardo will not play in this ball game. Keep in mind, he's the Wolfpack's best player, accounted for 32 touchdowns last season. He's got a right knee injury. The medical staff here is optimistic he can return next week. Also, Don Jackson, their #1 running back, will not play in this ball game. His backup, Kendall Brock, not 100%. Practiced with the non-contact orange jersey all week. Head coach Brian Polian told me, if we can't run the ball, it's going to be a long day. Look for Nevada to try to slow the tempo down, Bob. They'll actually go to a huddle today, usually an up-tempo team.
Well, we talked to Brian Polian this week, Rod Gilmore, and we asked him your strategy today, trying to stay with Florida State. And he said quite simply, we can't take a knife to the heart. If we're going to die, it has to be by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, he understands.
So slowing the game down is key to that.
Yeah, well, he knows what's on the other side. A lot of talented athletes with a lot of speed, and he can't get into a track meet with them.
Florida State won the toss, deferred their option to the second half. So it will be Nevada, starting with the football. Roberto Aguayo gets us underway. Elijah Mitchell will most likely have to take a knee. He goes out of the back of the end zone. So a tall order for Devin Combs as he replaces Cody Fajardo at quarterback. Last season, he played in 2 games and played well. Cody Fajardo was injured against Wyoming. Off the bench came Devin Combs, and he was 11 of 17 with a couple of touchdowns and a win. Started against UNLV, threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for 111 yards and a score as well. Now UNLV in the Mountain West, not quite Florida State on the road on opening day, but at least he has a little bit of game competition under his belt for this start today. I'm sensing that Rod Gilmore is not convinced.
He's not Cody Fajardo, though.
Chris Solomon gets the start at tailback, and a little razzle-dazzle on first down. A shovel pass to Brandon Wimberly, and he picks up 5.
Now, you and I have seen, Cody Fajardo a few times. And first time I ever saw him was against California a couple years ago, and he was fantastic. And he's a dual threat guy. So to have him out of the lineup and to have his backup in here, that's a huge, huge difference.
And you can see Kendall Brock next to Fajardo over on the sideline. As Quick mentioned, Kendall Brock, who took over for Don Jackson as the number 2 tailback with a knee injury. He is up and ready to play today. But instead it's the redshirt freshman Chris Solomon that gets the start. 2nd and 5. And here's Solomon's first try. Gains a yard, maybe a yard and a half. It'll be 3rd down and a long 3.
Well, let's keep in mind, you've got your 2nd-string quarterback, your 3rd-string tailback, and a 2nd-string guard all starting in this big environment against a top 10 team. That's a tough deal for backup players.
And against a defense that has held opponents to 20 points or less in 23 of their last 29 games. Combs to throw on 3rd down. And he's got a first down hookup. Aaron Bradley out to about the 40-yard line.
Now, the one thing Nevada does have going for them, they've got some wide receivers who have big size. I mean, they've got some good NFL-looking receivers, guys that are 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", and they're experienced guys. Career numbers, Wimberly, Bradley, Turner, they've all caught a lot of passes. Wimberly, you may recall, had a big game against Boise State with Colin Kaepernick a couple years ago.
That's Bradley in motion. And finding a little running room left is Chris Solomon for a gain of about 4. Telvin Smith was there to make the stop for Florida State.
And so these backups under Brian Polian are facing a Florida State defense that lost a lot of guys to the NFL, but they just plugged in a lot of 5-star high school recruits with a lot of talent and speed.
Well, even just picking up a few first downs, shifting field position, eating up some clock, that can be a plus offensively for Nevada today. And they will have to do some work to get the job done on 3rd down. It'll be 3rd down and about 6 now for Nevada.
Well, and the thing that happens on 3rd down when you're huddling up now, Florida State goes to their pass rushing jackrabbits. They bring in a couple more pass rushers. They take Joyner, the corner, and move him to the slot, to the nickel spot, where he can be a threat to rush the quarterback. You'll see number 20 up towards the right side of the formation, and he can be aggressive.
3rd down and 6. A jump ball thrown to the sideline, and no one home for Devin Combs. A lot of pressure came from Telvin Smith, and helped out by DeMonte McAllister.
Yeah, well, Smith was the 2nd leading tackler last season. He's on the left side of the screen. That's where the pressure comes from, and that's what they like to do on 3rd down is get after you. It's a big change in the way Florida State plays defense. They were pretty much a front 4 pass rushing team last year, but they believe in the blitz now.
Chase Tenpenny will punt, and he'll have some pressure on him today. Every chance that Nevada has to change field position with their special teams, they need to take advantage. And this is not a bad kick at all. From the 10-yard line, getting shot. And he will be bottled up inside the 20. Our first chance in Tallahassee to see a star in the making. Jameis Winston, his official debut in front of the Florida State fans. Next. Back here at Doak Campbell Stadium, the opening day of the home schedule for the Noles as they take on Nevada. Good crowd as you would expect here in Tallahassee, and Jimbo Fisher finally getting a chance to be the head coach after he apprenticed for a few years as the offensive coordinator under Bobby Bowden, and a wealth of coaching experience before that as well. And he gets a good start with Devontae Freeman. All the way out to the 35-yard line, a gain of 17, maybe 18 yards. First play from scrimmage, and what a debut it was for Jameis Winston a week ago Monday. He was nearly perfect against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 25 out of 27, 93%. 4 touchdowns, no picks, and he's back at the line of scrimmage right now, rearing to go.
And a chance to throw on 1st down. Instead, he'll tuck it under and pick up a couple. Rakeem Yates and Brock Hecking sandwiched him at the 37-yard line.
You know, we talked in the open about just how quickly he thinks, how he processes information so fast out there, and he makes decisions right away. I mean, he is unlike a lot of redshirt freshman quarterbacks that you've seen in that he just seems to feel the game. He seems to study it and stay on top of it.
Freeman brought down after a gain of a yard on 2nd down. It will be 3rd down and 7. Lenny Jones for the Wolfpack tripped up Devontae Freeman. So the first test for Jameis Winston, 3rd down and long.
Well, this is what we'll look at. You have a 3rd and long situation. Is he a guy that will lean towards forcing the ball? I expect Nevada to sort of be in a soft coverage defense, either 2 deep or 3 deep here, and they'll try and make him throw short.
Winston with a hard count, maybe trying to get that pre-snap look, and now everyone moves except the football. So the Noles get backed up, 3rd down and long, 3rd down and 12 after the penalty, as they called Brian Stork, the center, not snapping the football. And they're going to add a handful of seconds to the game clock. So now more of a test for Jameis Winston, 3rd down and 12.
How patient will he be here?
Only a 4-man rush. He's well protected. Rifles went up the seam. That was an NFL throw to Kenny Shaw.
We talk about how smart he is. He shows you he still has an arm, too. I mean, he is physically gifted. Little play action there. Personal foul, roughing the passer. But little play action, held the linebacker in a little bit, and then just drills one over the linebacker and in front of the safety. And watch the way this ball comes up. A little play action there. Now just drop it over the linebacker, and there's that late hit.
So Rakeem Yates called for the 15-yard personal foul, and from 3rd and 12 inside your own 35-yard line, 1 snap for the Noles, and they're all the way down to the Nevada 30. That's a 37-yard gain in all. Toss sweep to Freeman. Walker's out in front. And the Noles are in the red zone with a 1st down.
One of the things that's a focus point for Florida State is running the football, running it more inside. They've been an outside rushing team in their first game and a few plays here. But they want to get more balance, and they want to find a little power back and run it inside some more.
Freeman, this time he stood up and may have squeezed out a half yard. Jack Reynoso was the first man there for Nevada. So it'll be 2nd down and 10 in the red zone for the Noles. Will Nevada bend but not break?
Well, that's the plan, but in order to do that, you've got to make sure that you don't give up any deep balls here. You've got 3 wide receivers in the game now for Florida State, and you can't slip in your coverage. You can't allow anybody to get behind you.
And now the junior from Tampa, James Wilder, in as the lone setback. Bunch formation on both sides for the Noles. And a play-action rollout for Winston. He's got room to run. A little stutter step. And drags tacklers down to about the 11-yard line. It will be 3rd down and 3 after a gain of 7.
Now, I think when he goes back and looks at that, he'll say, I need to throw that ball to Benjamin. And Benjamin is 6'5", 240, 235 out there, and he had him in front of him. Let your big guy do the work, and you don't have to run the ball that often if you don't need to.
Seems like Jameis Winston, for any college quarterback, much less a freshman quarterback, has a lot of freedom at the line. And here on 3rd down. Guns one at the 5. Rashad Green. It's first and goal, Noles down to the 3.
Well, Jimbo Fisher trusts Winston an awful lot. He had him in the office yesterday going through the first 15 plays of the game and said, you have veto power. You can take away whatever you want. You see right there, nice throw to Green, but he has a lot of freedom at the line of scrimmage and a lot of input in the play selection. Jimbo Fisher really trusts him.
Now first and goal from the 3, and it looks like the Noles will load up. They bring in Jacoby McDaniel, who is set to the right in the backfield as an H-back.
300 pounds.
That's a pretty big fullback, and they'll try to run right behind him. Good job for Nevada to stand up Wilder inside the 2, close to the 1-yard line. It'll be second down and goal.
Can you imagine? You got a guy who's wearing big old 55. He's 6 feet, about 295, 300 pounds, and you got to take him on in the hole to try to keep him from leading somebody into the end zone.
He was a medical redshirt last season, healthy this year, and he and the super recruit Mario Edwards Jr., another defensive lineman, at times are brought in short yardage and goal line in just this kind of scenario. 10th play of the drive gets whistled dead before it gets going. And it'll be a false start against the Noles. We don't have the referee microphone yet, so we will get that corrected as quickly as we can. This might just be a little bit more real estate for Jameis Winston to operate. He might have welcomed a false start. Get it off the 1-yard line and let me throw.
Well, that gets the big guy, McDaniel, out of the lineup.
Jameis Winston, in middle school, was filling out a notebook with different looks against different coverages that a quarterback might face. And now it looks like Jimbo Fisher is going to call a timeout from the sideline and talk things over with his redshirt freshman star. So we'll step aside. Second and goal for Florida State when we come back to Tallahassee. All the pomp and circumstance of the home opener here in Tallahassee. That's a cool job.
Not too bad, huh?
To be Osceola,
could you do that?
Spike that spear? No, I'd fall off the horse. That would be a disaster waiting to happen. So after the timeout and the false start, second and goal from the 6. Winston high in the back of the end zone. Now it's third and goal at the 6, and if there's a little bit of hope early for Nevada, get a stop here, hold them to a field goal. That's a win on defense.
A good job in the Nevada secondary. Marcus Smith that time making sure he pushed Green towards the back of the end zone, making the throw tougher. You know, just don't give up anything easy, and that's a good job by Smith. Just make it as tough as you can on the quarterback.
Jameis Winston only had 2 incompletions the whole night against Pitt in his debut a week ago Monday. Now 2 of 3 on this drive. Third down and goal. 4-man rush for the Wolfpack. And Winston sails it back to the end zone, leaping, making the catch, but not getting a foot down in bounds is Kelvin Benjamin, according to the official on the end zone chalk. That's definitely worth another look.
Yeah, well, Benjamin is 6'5". They've likened him to Randy Moss here because of his great size and speed. Now back at the end zone here, he goes up real high and gets this one. Does he get a foot down? It looks like from that angle that back foot was on the wide as it came down, toe and then heel. Looks like toe might have touched first before the heel came down.
Well, automatically it is reviewed from the replay booth, and it looks as if now that is exactly the call that will be made. The replay booth buzzes down, and all the fans here in Tallahassee are happy about that.
Now, it looked to me on that one angle we had that the toe came down first and then the heel. Look right here. Right there. Toe in, now heel.
Now, again, we could not hear the referee mic announcement here at Doak Campbell. But what we were just told, I could hear it, is that that is not a replay that has been begun by the replay official up here. This is a Florida State challenge. So Jimbo Fisher, even if he believes the replay booth did put together a review of that play before they were about to try the field goal, even So he wants them to look again, a coach's challenge. So as a result, Florida State loses their coach's challenge and they're charged a timeout.
2 on the line, they say.
So now it is going to be a 23-yard field goal attempt for Aguayo.
Yeah, pretty simultaneous. That's a hard one to call in real time and a hard one to see enough to overturn it. Whether the toe touched down just a little bit ahead of the heel.
23-yard attempt for Roberto Aguayo. He was 2 for 2 against Pitt. He grew up a huge Florida State fan. He was at a 10-year-old birthday party when in 2004, one of those kicks went wide right. And he's a huge FSU fan.
There were a few of those.
He said he went home crying while a lot of his friends were cheering. And he vowed one day, I'm going to be the guy to knock field goals through for the Noles. And he has done just that. 3 on the board for Florida State, but a good job by the Nevada defense getting the stop. ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com. Number 10, Florida State. They score on their opening offensive possession, but only a field goal as Kelvin Benjamin was ruled to be out of bounds. So that forced the Aguayo 23-yard field goal. And Aguayo was able to knock it through. So Nevada back to the offense. Mitchell from the goal line. Out to the 25 before he's brought down. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Bob, Taco Bell Liv Moss moment. Tennessee on the road against Oregon, and the Volunteers got a break on a kickoff return by DeAnthony Thomas being called back for a penalty. Justin Worley at Jason Kroom. Big Orange up 7 in the first.
All right, Reese, thanks very much. It's an early 3-0 lead for Florida State here in Tallahassee. Kendall Brock still on the sideline. It's Chris Solomon as the back in the pistol for the Wolfpack. He takes the handoff, and he's got room. Hammered down after a gain of 8 yards as we take a look back at the non-touchdown in the back of the end zone. And we're going to check in with Quint Kesnick down on the sideline. Quint, you spoke with the officials?
Yeah, I spoke to head linesman Tracy Lynch, and what he told me is when a player's facing out of bounds and makes a catch and drags that toe, let's say he drags that toe out of bounds, that's a completion. But if his back's to the sideline and he lands toe and then heel out of bounds, that's going to be an incompletion. Simple terms, gave me just a pretty easy to decipher, I guess.
That's certainly what happened as the wide receiver screen. Looks like it'll end up netting a first down to Richie Turner as he just barely gets it across the 35-yard line.
That's good work down there, Quint, because, you know, it looked like he got the toe down first, but that official's explanation helps. You know, I think the other way of looking at it is kind of a continuous motion. You know, you got to completely get that foot in for it to be good when you leave the ground.
Flags everywhere. It's a false start called against Nevada. That'll go against Fred Labullo, the right guard.
You know, if you're Brian Polian, you're not unhappy right now. Your defense did the bend but don't break thing, and you're content. You didn't give up a big play like that resulted in 6 points. And you've moved the ball a little bit. You haven't been able to get anything on third down, but you have had a couple of running plays. You don't want to be in first and long or second and long, but you have shown you can move it a little bit.
And if you can run the football, what a help that would be to Devin Combs, letting him settle into the game. As now a timeout was called by Brian Polian and the coaching staff from the sideline with the play clock winding down. So we'll step aside for 60 seconds and come right back to Tallahassee with the Noles on top 3-0. The Irish trying to bounce back from last week's tough loss to Michigan. Low throw. Richie Turner can't scoop it up, and there was a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. So 1st and 15 might get a little bit worse for Nevada.
Correction, the pass is incomplete.
Gets a little better for Nevada after all, as Dan Hicks was offsides. So the incompletion bailed out by Hicks, a free 5 for the Wolfpack, and now we're right back where we started at 1st and 10 at the 35.
Well, and the Wolfpack, they're going to need some help. I mean, the guys on the outside have to help out Devin Combs. I mean, Wimberly, Turner, Bradley, they're going to have to make some catches, some plays to help him out. He can't be expected to hit everything perfectly in his first start in a while.
Colby Arenzi, the tight end, in motion. Play action for Combs, looking downfield under some pressure, felt the heat, and was able to scramble for about 4 or 5. Pushed out by Hicks. Well, Brian Polian, 12 years as a college assistant. Of course, prior to Nevada, last year, the special teams and tight ends coach at Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is involved in a game that got a little bit of publicity this week. That's going on right now as well. So it's interesting talking to him about what he thought A&M's chances were at home against Alabama.
Yeah, he was concerned more about the Texas A&M defense, thinking that Alabama offense might be able to control the tempo of the game, but that Johnny Football, he might be arrogant, but he says that's exactly what makes him so good on the field, that arrogance and that lack of fear.
Devin Combs has to have exactly that today. And a nicely designed play. Richie Turner on a bubble screen to the wide receiver, about a yard shy of a first down. It's going to be 3rd down and short. Telvin Smith, there's the closing speed of Florida State. Just when it looks like you've got the edge, all of a sudden those linebackers that run like wide receivers get out there and shut you down 2 yards shy of a first.
Yeah, you know, you got to pick these things up. This is a good job. You get a good block. Wimberly, you know, he's 6'3", 225. He comes out and gets a good block out there. Now you have 3rd and short. You got to pick up some of these. Keep your defense off the field a little bit.
Solomon will try and run for it. Bouncing off tacklers, and he's got it. Another 3rd down conversion for Nevada, and a gain of 5.
You know, talking to Brian Polian before the game about Solomon, he said, yeah, he's my 3rd string guy, but we put him in the last couple weeks, and he's got that little thing, that little X factor, that little juice. He's got something special about him, and we figured, what the heck? Let's put him in on the big stage and see if he can give us something against these guys.
2 weeks ago, Nevada lost at UCLA to open up the season 58-20. A misleading score based on where the game was at halftime. A low snap. And nothing that Combs can do but go up the middle with a flag down. It looks like it's going to be offsides called again on Niall Lawrence Stample. So it is a 5-yard penalty against the Noles, and quickly let's go back to Reese. Maybe you can't necessarily be surprised at where A&M is, but up 14-0. That is not going to have Tide Nation all that happy. 1st and 5. A run about a yard and a half shy of the first down. As we take a look at Johnny Manziel so far today, off to a nearly perfect start. How good was he last year in the win?
Well, Jeremy Pruitt, who was a defensive coordinator at Florida State, was at Alabama last year, and he said they were so discombobulated at the start of the game because of the tempo. They couldn't get their calls in. They couldn't change personnel. They couldn't do anything, and they were shell-shocked until they changed their defense to play man coverage. I think there's a little bit of shell-shocking going on out there again today.
Former senior walk-on Nathan Lytle in the game now at the tailback spot. He takes the handoff on 2nd down and 2, and he is right at the first down marker. Nathan Lytle, it looks like, has a first down. Let's see if they measure. They will not. Nevada picks up the first down, and Lytle, a senior walk-on, he had never played for the Wolfpack before last week. Had 6 carries for 28 yards and a blowout win over UC Davis. That's basically Rudy just picking up the first down up the middle.
Good call.
Chris Solomon is back in. 8th play of the drive. That's already milked 5 minutes off the clock. Nice job on the read by Combs. Pulled it back and picked up about 4. The crowd thought that the interior of the defense had waffled Chris Solomon. The only problem was he didn't have the football.
Well, 2 things. One, you got to be careful with your quarterback here. I mean, that's your 2nd string guy. You keep running him on these options, you better make sure he's got a blocker, because he gets hit like that too often, you have nobody else. The other thing is, we got a huddle going on out there. A huddle. How often do we see a huddle these days?
Not in college football, anyway.
You kidding me?
Teams that run 80 plays are the slow-moving offenses these days in college football. But what a great job to milk the clock by Nevada. And it looks like another timeout has been called by the Wolfpack. So they call their second timeout here in the first half. And we'll step aside for 30 seconds. Can Nevada stay on the march and keep milking the clock here in the first half?
A spirit roams these parts. A spirit of respect, competition, and academic greatness. Some call our spirit myth. Others call it legend. We call it Florida State University.
Bob Wischusen, Rod Gilmore, Quinn Kesnick here in Tallahassee, where we have seen Jameis Winston for one possession. So if you're looking for a recipe for success for Nevada and Brian Polian, this has been it so far.
Keep him right over there.
Nevada has had the ball, closing in on 9 total minutes here in the first quarter. And the crowd starting to become a factor. 2nd and 7. Right up the middle goes Solomon into the secondary. Secures the football, and it's a first down for Nevada at the 16-yard line.
Great blocking at the point of attack. Matt Gallus, number 65, up front, gets a really good block. And you get a little help from the tight end, 86. Watch him come in here and get that block. That's going to help you out big time.
Solomon again.
They went no huddle.
I thought you were lauding the huddle up.
Yeah, then they switch it up.
That might take us to the end of the first quarter. Nevada has yet to score. They are trailing 3-0. They're in scoring range here, but you could not have scripted a better first quarter, I'd have to think, for the Wolfpack.
As long as you can keep your quarterback healthy. Limping off the field right now.
And keep the other quarterback sitting right where he is. Jameis Winston on the Noles bench. He almost had a touchdown in the first Noles possession. They had to settle for 3, and that's the score as we speak. Welcome back to Tallahassee. Start of the second quarter. ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com. The ACC on ESPN. 3-0 Noles, but Nevada on a march. Inside the 15, down to about the 13-yard line for a gain of 1 goes Chris Solomon. Mario Edwards Jr. made the stop, and a big third down coming here.
You know, they've been doing a lot of running behind the tight end 86, Kobe Arenzi. Now, it wouldn't surprise me to see them slip him out. He's a good blocker, and they've been going behind him, but they can also get him out.
12th play of the drive. Cody Fajardo on the bench, not active today with the injury, so it's the backup Devin Combs. And the junior from Modesto in a passing situation here on third down. Looking for the pylon. Bobbled, catchable. Wimberly can't hang on. Very easily could have been a touchdown, lofted over the top of Ronald Darby.
Well, we talked about this earlier. The outside guys, the wide receivers, have to make some plays to help out the quarterback, Devin Combs. Combs is the backup. You got to help him here. That's a well-thrown ball. Wimberly is an experienced guy. He had a chance to make it. That ball was tipped a little bit, but he got 2 hands on it. He's got to come up with that.
So it'll be a 30-yard field goal attempt for Brent Zuzo, who won the job in training camp. He is a true freshman. 3 for 3 so far this season, and it's a fake. You're on the road. You're going to try something nifty here. Chase Tenpenny goes up the middle. He gets shut down, and no points for Nevada. They try a fake on 4th and 7 with the punter as the holder running it between the tackles.
You know, usually there's an automatic on that. If you see something, if you get the right thing, you can shift to it. It looks like that was a run or option, and he elected to go inside. They didn't get it at all. But you know what? When you are a big underdog like this, I have no problem with Brian Polian taking a shot. No problem with that at all. And he's a special teams coordinator. I mean, that's his thing. You want to take a shot and try and knock off the big dog? Go for it.
And Jameis Winston inside his own 15-yard line and getting tripped up on the play. Brock Hecking, a good job to take the legs out from under James Wilder after a gain of 1.5 yards. But the mental blow for Nevada to get that drive all the way down inside the 15-yard line and come away with no points.
Yeah, I hear you. You want points, but you want the touchdown. You can't trade punches with this team if you're Nevada. You can't kick field goal after field goal and try and beat Florida State.
Winston again up the seam. High throw, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Bryson Keaton. Oh, that'll change things as Nevada has the ball back inside the Florida State 30-yard line. So the first career interception thrown by Jameis Winston.
Watch the safety there. Now it looks like he just overthrows this. He was reading the safety to the right side, didn't think he had anyone back on the other side, and he overthrew it.
So just after all the momentum swings to Florida State on the failed.
You see what he's doing? He's talking to Jimbo's. Now, I looked over here. I saw the safety over there. I thought I was free back here. Thought he had room, but no. He misread the coverage.
Big momentum swing back to Nevada. They have the football back after they fail on the fake field goal. Up the middle, into the secondary. Busting free is Solomon. And he's got a first down. A gain of 13 down to the 15.
Sure doesn't look like a third-string tailback. You know, good blocking inside. Again, they keep running behind their tight end, Arinze, who takes that short motion across the formation, and they get in behind him.
10 carries for 61 yards for Solomon. You've got your backup quarterback, your third-string tailback, and they're moving the ball. Solomon again. Not moving it this time. Garnet and gold everywhere. Jacoby McDaniel got there first. A loss of about 2.
Well, we saw him on offense. Watch number 55 get in and make plays. I mean, he just blows right through there. Gets by Lavulo to make that play. I mean, he's played some offense and some defense, and boy, two-way player.
Room up the middle again for Solomon. A much more manageable third down now. 3rd down and 6 coming after a 7-yard gain.
Now you look ahead here, 3rd down. You had Wimberly last time you were down here on a fade route and didn't get it done. A ball he could have caught. You go back there, or you run option up top.
Combs looks over to the sideline. To the sideline, maybe. Florida State's defensive hand tipped a bit.
They do have a size advantage with Joyner out there on the corner spot.
Combs this time wants the lob again. And it is there! Brandon Wimberly. Touchdown Wolfpack, and they've got the lead.
He beat Jalen Ramsey that time, and we talked about this size. The Nevada wide receivers are big. I mean, Wimberly is 6'3", 225. Size advantage. They went with the fade route the last time they were down here, and he dropped it. They come right back here, put it up there. Look at the size advantage. Plus, he can get up. Well-thrown ball, too.
On top of that, it looks like Telvin Smith is injured for Florida State. So a 4-play, 28-yard touchdown drive. Nevada turns the interception into 6, possibly 7. They've got the lead. We've already played nearly 4 minutes here in the second quarter. We've barely seen the Florida State offense and Jameis Winston. He only had 1 possession in the first quarter, and then he comes off the bench in the early second quarter and throws a pick.
Yeah, and remember talking to Brian Polian earlier this week, and he said, yeah, you know, we might not play Cody Fajardo because he's banged up, but we will come to win. We play every game to win. We're not here to just show up and pick up a check. We're going to try and win this ball game.
And the crowd here in Tallahassee is going to try and wake the Noles up. You know that's coming, because right now they're looking at a football team that I think they probably feel is sleepwalking through a game, their home opener. They've been off for the better part of 2 weeks. They began on a Monday night, Labor Day weekend against Pitt. They had the week 2 bye because they're not going to play a game in a short week in college football. Now you've got a lot of time to prepare for today. And this looks more like the intensity of the Garnet and Gold spring game than it does opening day of the regular season.
Well, but Jameis Winston has spent the last 10, 12 days hearing how great he is, and we find out that he's actually human. I mean, he actually overthrew a guy, and that resulted in a pick and points off turnover now.
And I think the Florida State fans right now are also worried about the yards that their defense is allowing. You get the interception thrown by Winston, and Nevada's offense capitalizes.
Wimberly in the corner of the end zone. Nice fade, nice jump. They're up 7-3.
Barking in the back there is Brandon Wimberly. The touchdown catch, he had 4 last season. That's his 2nd touchdown reception of his senior year. Granted a 6th year by the NCAA, and an amazing story. He was involved in an altercation in 2011, was a shooting victim, severely damaged his intestines, spent a long time in the hospital, lost 60 pounds during his hospital stay. They never thought he would play football again. And now here he is at Doak Campbell, giving his team the lead. Weaving his way out to the 26-yard line is LaMarcus Joyner. Let's go back to Reese. Well, Reese, the Noles have the ball here at Florida State, and now we'll see how Jameis Winston will respond after his interception and barely having played through the first quarter plus. And they'll put it right back in the air. Winston under pressure. He will be sacked inside the 15-yard line. Lenny Jones got there first.
This is a really good test for Winston. You know, interception, now he gets sacked. A deep, deep drop. But this is only a 4-man rush. This is not a blitz. They just beat the Florida State defensive line, and it was an absolute jailbreak. You're talking about 2 or 3 guys beating that offensive line. Reuben Carter is in there as a backup right guard, and he just got blown away that time by Lenny Jones.
A loss of 11, 2nd down and a mile. There's Devontae Freeman. Nothing there. Raheem Yates makes the stop, and Doak Campbell gets more and more restless as this first half moves on.
Again, this is a good test for Winston. You're facing this situation. He hasn't had many of these in his career. This may be the first one he's come on the field after a pick, after a sack, with a 3rd and long, without the momentum. Does he press? Or does he simply do what he should with the football?
He looked like the natural against Pitt about 2 weeks ago, but a career that is barely more than 5 quarters old. This is definitely the first big test. And it looks like they'll play the punt. They're going to hand the ball off to Devontae Freeman. And the crowd starts to boo a bit here on opening day at Doak, as rather than having a potential turnover by the redshirt freshman,
yeah, well,
Jimbo Fisher goes conservative.
Right thing to do. Look what he's facing. This is a Tampa 2 defense. They are playing 2 deep with the linebacker who will go play the deep third. There's nowhere deep to throw the football. And he recognizes this, and they go with the running play.
So Joseph Huber is back at about his own 35-yard line to receive the punt. And Nevada might get pretty good field position here if this is a returnable kick. Mason Beatty gets off an ugly punt that gets about as good a roll as the Noles could have hoped for. All the way down to the 26-yard line. That was not aesthetically pleasing. It got the job done. And a restless Florida State sideline.
Very quiet Seminole sideline, devoid of emotion. During that last break, Jimbo Fisher and offensive line coach Rick Trickett really went after the offensive line hard for that sack. Meanwhile, on Nevada sideline, the Wolfpack, they're cheering first downs like they're touchdowns, Bob.
Well, here's Nathan Lytle on first down, Quint. He only picks up about 1. But, Rod, how much would that bother you if, as Quint said, a sideline devoid of emotion for Florida State? Wouldn't you think after that first quarter and where this game is right now, there would be tons of emotion, and maybe it would be anger and intensity and frustration and wanting to get out there and jump out of your skin?
I agree, absolutely. I think you probably have a sense of some of them waiting around for somebody to make a play to give them the spark instead of creating the spark themselves.
Lytle again, up the middle.
There you go, Nate.
Good, strong, hard run, about 2 yards shy of a first down, so it will be 3rd down and 2.
Now keep in mind also that there are a lot of young players on the Florida State team that are learning how to deal with this environment. I mean, they expected as a 30-point favorite to come in here and walk all over Nevada.
Good news for the Noles as well. Telvin Smith is back in the game. Every first down continues to milk the clock as well for Nevada. They're 3 for 5 so far on third down. 3rd and 2. Unable to get free was Devin Combs. The pocket collapsed and a flag comes in. Dan Hicks was there to get the sack. We'll have to check the penalty.
Well, Timmy Jernigan was also in there, and he had no helmet on, and he continued in the play. You can't continue in the play when your helmet comes off.
That's an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, and it looks like Jimbo Fisher is arguing. We'll have to check the call. So it is a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, you cannot participate once your helmet comes off. I mean, that's a rule change about a year ago. And the idea, there were so many helmets coming off, and it's a dangerous safety issue. So when the helmet comes off, you have to take yourself out of the play.
If the helmet comes off, you're allowed to continue the immediate action that you're committing, but then you can't continue to another, I guess, facet of the play. You have to stop.
Take yourself out of the play.
And that is for player protection. Well, it protected Nevada. It gets them a 3rd down conversion to midfield. Lytle up the middle. A gain of 2. Let's go back to Reese. So far here at the Doak, but that's nothing that Nevada's going to complain about.
We've got trickeration in the A&M Bama game. Trickeration. Wow. Flea flickers.
2nd down and 8. And look at the clock. Continue to shorten this game. Play action fake for Combs. Whips one to the sideline and it's broken up. Tyler Hunter read it beautifully. And now it's 3rd down and 8. Yeah. And getting up with a limp is Devin Combs.
Yeah. That's your 2nd string quarterback. You got to keep him healthy. And he's got to get that ball out a little quicker. He can't hold on and wait until the break. He's got to throw it before the break.
I came from Foxborough, called the Jet Patriot game on Thursday night. This is like an instant replay. This looks like the Jet Patriot game. Ugly football for Thursday. Having said that, though,
Nevada wants an ugly game.
That's the recipe.
That's exactly what they want.
It's the same way the Jets stayed in the game with the Patriots on Thursday, the way Nevada is staying in this game with Florida State, running it, shortening the game, and mucking it up at times. And on the slant, there's Wimberly, and he is a yard shy of the 1st down. Now what do? This is a team that at 4th and 7 faked a field goal, and now a big limp for Devin Combs as well. He is really shaken up. That left lower leg or ankle is hurt.
Well, and this means that you're going to lose your quarterback run game. I mean, you already are out of your starter, and your backup now can't really move. So all the option stuff goes out the window. And so you know defensively right here on a 4th down, the quarterback's out of the run game. You're playing for something inside. You're playing for the tailback. You don't worry about the quarterback running the football in this pistol option, and that's a big part of what they do.
And they're going to call their timeout. That's a good move by Brian Polian. First half timeout's not nearly as important as second half timeout, so he lets the clock wind all the way down, shorten the game, and now they'll have a chance to talk about the 4th down play. It will now be a 4th and 1 punt for Nevada. While we were away, Brian Polian had 1 timeout left. He let the clock wind down as far as it possibly could and challenged the spot of Brandon Wimberly's 3rd down catch. The officials went upstairs to the replay booth. They confirmed the spot was correct. So now Nevada is out of timeouts, but that might have been a timeout he was prepared to call anyway to let the clock wind down, and now they'll punt from midfield. Chase Tenpenny will try and angle this one to the corner. And a fair catch is made at about the 8-yard line by Kenny Shaw. So now Jameis Winston, poor field position. This isn't the only field he plays on, though. He was drafted in the 15th round by the Rangers as a switch-hitting outfielder slash pitcher, and his arm is just about as good baseball-wise as it is football-wise. Watch this throw.
Now that's a BB. Look at that. On a fly, nails the runner at home plate.
That is a hose from right field.
And
That's an amazing throw.
I think baseball helps his football. I mean, his release, he holds the ball high, and he throws more over the top.
On first down, screens wide open. Shaw off the sideline. And he has a first down, a gain of 13 out to the 21.
You know, to me, that over-the-top release means that he won't have as many balls tipped, knocked down at the line of scrimmage, but he also gets it out quicker. Watch this release. This is really over the top, just like he throws that baseball. A lot of quarterbacks are three-quarters, almost sidearm.
Same screen to the far side, same guy. Kenny Shaw breaks a tackle. And this time he's bumped out after a gain of about 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2.
Confidence builders, throwing short passes to find a rhythm, to get Winston going again.
Winston with a trap handoff, a first down run and more. James Wilder stood up at about the 41-yard line, but not before he picked up 12 yards. Well, Jameis Winston, he's coached on the football fields by Jimbo Fisher, but Quince with his baseball coach.
Yes, that is Mike Martin, who enters his 35th year here as Florida State baseball coach. What is Jameis like as a baseball player? How do you best define his game?
Well, Quinn, he's a great teammate. He's also a guy that can pitch. He can play the outfield. He's a switch hitter. I tell you, he's one of a kind.
What do you think he's dealing with right now? Coming off, so much week 1 success, struggling a bit right now. What's he dealing with?
Well, it's early in the ball game. I have absolutely no problems at all with what I see. He's under control. Jimbo's doing a great job of calling the game. Just give him a couple of more series, and I think you'll see a different situation.
What's the biggest challenge he faces with you and Coach Fisher trying to play both sports in the spring?
Well, really, here at Florida State, we don't have any issues with that. I mean, in the spring, Coach Fisher allows him to come over and get his work in when he can. Of course, last year he went through a very hard spring practice in that he had a lot to learn. But next year will probably be a little different. He'll get more time in baseball.
Thank you, Coach.
My pleasure.
Bob.
All right, Quint, thanks very much. Well, while we're listening to Coach Martin, Coach Fisher ends up getting the benefit of a bad penalty by Nevada. A dead ball personal foul on that last scrum near midfield, so 15 yards down to the Nevada 40. Winston off a play-action fake, finds his check down in James Wilder. Wilder spinning off tacklers, keeping the play alive, fights his way for 9 yards. Eventually brought down by Jack Reynoso, but that was about the 5th member of the Wolfpack to get a hand on Wilder.
Just like Daddy used to do it, huh? His father, James Wilder, played a number of years in the NFL. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was an outstanding running back. And this kid has really good hands. They like using him out of the backfield. He's a powerful runner.
Devontae Freeman back in the game to the left of Winston in the shotgun, 2nd and short. And Freeman finds a lane.
You know, they are looking out there and facing a very soft coverage. 2 safeties playing back away from the line of scrimmage. And so they're trying to run against that. Nevada does not want to give up a big pass play. So they tend to keep their safeties back. And Florida State is responding by trying to run against a 7-man front instead of an 8-man front.
Play action for Winston. Lobs it, looking, end zone. Catch is made, fought for. It is a touchdown. Kenny Shaw with a flag down. We'll have to check the penalty. It was thrown in the secondary. Looked like Kenny Shaw might have fought off pass interference and still made the catch for the touchdown.
Well, the way that defense is designed, Kenny Shaw is not supposed to get behind him.
Personal foul, face mask called against Nevada. So the touchdown will be good, and that will give Florida State the lead.
That was a 3-deep coverage, and you're supposed to keep the guy in front of you. Kenny Shaw does a great job of getting behind his man. Now here's a 3-deep coverage here. Now watch. Kenny Shaw makes sure he gets deep. Now you see the guy come up, the inside guy's there. You're not supposed to be able to get behind him.
Charles Garrett was called for the personal foul, and that'll be a 15-yard penalty assessed on the kickoff as well. So the extra point tacked on by Aguayo, and he'll be kicking off from the 50-yard line when we come back. And now the Noles have the lead.
Perfectly thrown. Kenny Shaw making it happen.
A big cheer and a big sigh of relief here at Florida State as the Noles now take the lead. And it looks as if the Seminole fans believe a little bit more. Aflac. Time now for our Aflac trivia question. What current NFL player had a touchdown pass and a touchdown reception in the same bowl game for Florida State?
I got to think about that one.
While Rod Gilmore ponders, we will have that answer coming up a little bit later on. In case you think when I said ponders that was somehow a hint, it was not a hint.
Not a hint.
Let's go back to Reese.
What's going on here today?
Well, we were wondering the same thing. It's a similar script that has been played out in certainly Michigan, maybe sleepwalking after
Oregon,
a big win against Notre Dame.
Wow.
Now you come out the following week, a letdown game against Akron 2 weeks ago. Big win on the road for Florida State. Did they let down a little bit so far here in the first half against Nevada? And now a delay call against Nevada. First play coming from the sideline.
Can't have that. I mean, that puts you behind the chains. Now you're 1st and 15. Brian Polian, oh, I don't blame him. You can't have that. You can't come off the sideline and get a delay of game.
He's without his junior leader in Cody Fajardo. Devin Combs, the backup quarterback, trying to fight through an injury as well. And here's a handoff. Nowhere to go for Chris Solomon. Dan Hicks made the stop. Devin Combs trying to fight through injury and stay in the game.
Yeah, and it's critical. It's been kind of a tough deal. I mean, he's the guy that steps in to run the show and to run the football. And you see he's had a problem. That left knee has been an issue for him. You saw that last throw kind of hurt him, and now he's wearing a brace on that left knee.
Second down and long. And it will be 3rd down and long. Terrence Smith makes the stop for Florida State as we check in with Quint.
Devin Combs came over to the sideline during that last Florida State possession and told athletic trainer Ben Anguish, my left leg, it feels unstable. So as Rod just pointed out, they added that knee brace to his left leg. He's also dealing with some pain in his left ankle. And since that last possession, it looks like he is nowhere as mobile as he was earlier in this ballgame.
That's a problem. I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, this is your backup quarterback, and now your offense is already restricted because you can't run the quarterback.
3rd down and 11. And they'll run it on 3rd down and not get anywhere near the first down marker as Chris Solomon is brought down. Well, I guess my question would be is now Jimbo Fisher will call a timeout from the Florida State sideline to preserve time for his offense. We were told this week by Brian Polian he's not playing Cody Fajardo unless he is convinced that Cody Fajardo can protect himself against this Florida State defense.
Right.
Now he has a player out there on one leg that he's allowing to continue to play. He told us Fajardo wasn't playing because his main concern really and his job is to win in the Mountain West, win in the conference.
Yeah.
You want to try and win this game, obviously, but he's going to be judged success or failure this year on whether or not they play well in the conference. That's why Fajardo sits. Why is Combs still in there then?
Well, I think the simple answer is that right now they believe that Combs can protect himself, that he can't run, but that he can run the offense. Now, I think at halftime there's going to be a reassessment, and they're going to try and figure out, and he's going to tell them whether he can go or not, and we may see their 3rd-string quarterback, who's Tyler Stewart. And I don't know how you can run your offense. It's a pistol-based offense that requires the quarterback to run the football. And if your quarterback can't run, you can't run that offense.
Kenny Shaw back for the punt. And Chase Tenpenny will try and keep it away from him if he can. Wobbly kick. Returnable for Shaw. And good field position for Florida State at their own 44-yard line after a 13-yard return, a 39-yard punt. And now it's time to answer our Aflac trivia question. All right, let's go, Rod Gilmore. Your guess. What current NFL player with a touchdown pass and reception in the same bowl game for FSU?
Well, Christian Ponder, I was going to think about. Or
you thought I lobbed that to you.
Yeah, Anquan Bolden, Chris Winkie. I mean, those would be the guys I'd come up with.
It was choice A. You can't throw multiple choices out there and hope one of them hits. There has to be a guess.
I just did.
Now we're going to go down to the truck and see if we give you any kind of credit. As Winston, high throw to the sideline. And Kenny Shaw makes a 5-yard reception. He is hit hard by Marcus Smith. And that keeps the clock rolling with 1:38 to go in the first half. And Kenny Shaw took a shot to the ribs. He's coming to the sideline.
You know, Nevada went into the half against UCLA down by 4, 17-13, and then fell apart in the second half.
True freshman Jesus Wilson replaces Shaw. Blitz comes. Winston stands in the pocket, waits for his late crosser in Kelvin Benjamin, and he makes a first down catch.
And Brian Polian told us he wanted to test his team's competitiveness. He wanted to see how tough they would be. Would they hang in there and fight? He felt like they sort of fell apart and quit against UCLA in the second half.
Now you've got Jesus Wilson, the true freshman, confused as to where he needs to line up. And out of timeouts, Florida State. So they have to get the true freshman lined up before they can snap the ball. They finally do. High throw. Outside the numbers, and it is good. A connection to Christian Green. Another first down for FSU.
He's still in the rhythm now. You know, he seems to be quite comfortable at a fast pace. He threw that ball exactly where it needed to be between the corner and the safety.
And now they've got Kenny Shaw back in the game. So the senior replaces the true freshman at Florida State. Lines up quickly. Here comes the blitz again. Right side of the end zone, leaping grab is made for the touchdown by Rashad Green.
This is Rashad Green. Watch him make this play. I mean, there's great coverage here. Watch him go up and take this away. Winston put the ball where his guy could make a play, and Green went up and took it away from Favors, the corner.
They're going to review the touchdown to make sure that Rashad Green had complete control all the way through the catch. And while they talk about it with the replay booth, we'll step aside for 30 seconds and come right back to Tallahassee. Rashad Green averages a touchdown every 8 times he touches the football. That's a pretty good ratio. And the ruling on the field is announced here to the crowd. This stands. It is a touchdown. As Green obviously inbounds, they do rule that he completed the catch, even though he was wrestling with Evan Favors for the football. So now it is a 2-score lead for Florida State. So Aguayo on for the point after. And it's 17-7. College football primetime on ESPN, presented by Hampton Hotels. Kicks off.
An Arizona State game certainly has my attention. I'm curious to see how the Badgers do making that trip out to the desert and facing this guy. I mean, Will Sutton, completely underrated and overlooked by a lot of folks. But he may be the best defensive lineman on the West Coast and one of the best in the country.
There were some nerves here at Doak Campbell Stadium for a while with this crowd. Now they seem to be a little more confident in their team with a 10-point lead, and now you wonder how Nevada handles their quarterback situation the rest of the game. Still very much in the game, down by only 10.
Yeah, but right now they need to get to the locker room and get out of the first half and figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback spot.
Elijah Mitchell hesitated, and he pays the price. And now there is a scrum behind the play as well. So the officials have an altercation to break up. Yagimi Eligwe with a big hit here on Mitchell.
I wonder if that wasn't over the numbers and near the helmet. Now, it looked like he wrapped him up, and if you wrap up, it's not considered targeting. They didn't launch himself, but sure sounded like there was some contact at the head area.
And a knee taken. And Nevada with a quarterback, their second stringer in Devin Combs, limping off the field without their starting quarterback, Cody Fajardo. So you've got 2 injured quarterbacks, 2 injured running backs, and an injured offensive lineman, all either struggling to try to play through this game for Brian Polian, who's upset, and maybe he wanted a crown of the helmet call on the return as well. Let's go down to Quinn.
Coach, Jameis threw that pick early stages of the second quarter. You two had a long discussion. What did you say to him?
You just got to calm down when we're at in the middle of the field, and the ball needed to hit a little check down. We had a guy open, but that's not the throw we make right there, and it was out of the read, and he's got a check down. He recovered from it, played very nicely the rest of the half.
What changed on that last drive?
I just think we got in a rhythm. We've only had the ball 5 times. We scored 3. We had to pick on the other, and we had to sack on the other. We had 2 negative plays. We just got to get back in the rhythm. We got our flow, and then the guys got going, and we started making plays. But Nevada does a heck of a job now. They do a good job keeping that ball away from you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Quinn, thanks very much. So Jameis Winston closes the first half. 8 for his last 8 after the interception with the touchdowns. FSU with a 10-point lead at halftime. Now it's time for Reese Davis and the Lexus Halftime Report. It is the ACC on ESPN. The Nevada Wolfpack hung in for a good portion of the first half, and they are within 10 at 10th-ranked Florida State. Here in Tallahassee, the Noles lead 17-7, just about set for the start of the second half. Welcome back to Bill Campbell Stadium. Bob Wischusen here with Rod Gilmore. Quinn Kesnick will join us in just a moment. They were nervous here for a good portion of the first half.
Yeah.
The natives were restless, but Jameis Winston settled things down after an interception, came back with 8 straight completions, and scored 2 touchdowns.
Well, he's not perfect. I mean, we got that impression last week against Pitt, but we showed that he was human today, and he struggled early on. And things just weren't clicking. Right off here, you see he's got Benjamin in front of him. Throw the ball. Throw the ball. He doesn't. He runs with it. Not a great decision there. And he comes back a little bit later, forces one into deep coverage. Ball sails on him, gets the pick. Jimbo Fisher takes him aside, says, hey, play the way you need to play. Hit your check down when you have it there. Now, these are gifted throws. There's a dime to Shaw in the corner of the end zone. Pat on the head for that one. And he comes right back with another dime where Green goes up and takes the ball away. A little help from his receiver there. But Winston, after the poor start, really got into the flow.
The Noles won the toss and deferred their option of the second half, so they'll start with the football, and that means Jameis Winston off of, as you see, a lot of momentum. Starts 2 of 5 with the interception, comes back, hits 8 of his last 8 for over 100 yards and a couple of scores, and that settled this game down, not only for a redshirt freshman quarterback that faced a little adversity for the first time this year, but it also got the crowd off of the team's collective back.
Well, and it's good for him. It's good for him to have some adversity and see how he handles that.
LaMarcus Joyner on the kickoff return. Finds a cutback lane and a pretty good return out to the 34. Now, Nevada has their own quarterback concerns. With that story, here's Quinn.
Bob, and that situation has gone from bad to worse. Devin Combs came out of the locker room with that knee brace on his left knee. Started to go through some warm-up passes. He was in considerable pain. He really couldn't shift his weight from right to left. And, in fact, one time he buckled completely. So it looks that Nevada, when they get the ball, they're going to make a quarterback change, and Tyler Stewart will become their quarterback. Keep in mind, Cody Fajardo is on the sideline right here counseling these quarterbacks, but their normal starter is out as well.
And that was the look, as Quint referenced a moment ago, of a quarterback doing whatever he could to prove to the coaches that he could play, but had to admit to himself as Devontae Freeman finds a lane and he's down the sideline. The afterburner's on for Freeman. Finally caught at about the 9-yard line. Jonathan McNeil helped save a touchdown.
Well, they get it on going on the right side. A good block by Wilder, who is in the backfield as a second running back. Got the block that would spring Freeman to the outside.
A 60-yard run, and it's 1st and goal at the 6. Flags down as Freeman breaks a tackle, dives into the end zone, if the play stands for a Noles touchdown. So decline the offsides penalty, and you snap your fingers out of the locker room, and it's a 23-7 lead.
This is what happened to Nevada against UCLA in the first game of the year. They were down 17-13 at the half, and then the third quarter was a disaster, a nightmare. And Brian Polian told us this week he was really looking forward to the third quarter to see how his team would respond. Had they grown from that first week?
24-7. 31 seconds is all it took for the Noles to open up a 17-point lead.
Great blocking on the right side there. Not even close. You see Bobby Hart, the right tackle, do a great job. Reuben Carter, the right guard, also doing a great job creating a big lane for Freeman.
17th career rushing touchdown for Devontae Freeman, 24-7. Florida State has the lead. Geico 400 at Chicago tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN.
13 drivers. They added Jeff Gordon because of the brouhaha about 2 racing teams maybe coordinating to get one guy a little bit higher in the standings there to get him into the chase. And I'm glad they made the decision to do that. You know, see the integrity of the racing sport.
Now, we know that you're heading back tonight to Bristol, as tomorrow you're going to be in the NASCAR studio. So don't use up all of your information now. Save it for all of your on cameras tomorrow.
Hey, it's the integrity of the sport. We care.
Oh, you are a jack of all trades. Well, now things go from bad to worse for Nevada. That's a redshirt freshman, Tyler Stewart. After Devin Combs took most, if not all, of the first team reps in practice this week. For Brian Polian, here comes Tyler Stewart from Simi Valley, California, as he will step on the field for the first time with his team down 24-7. The third string quarterback has to play against Florida State.
Well, and he didn't get a lot of work in camp, not only because he was a third string guy, but because he got sick and he lost a lot of weight. So he hasn't had a lot of reps at all this fall.
At least he's mobile, though, which Devin Combs was not with the injury. And they'll throw on first down with Stewart. And he's got a hookup. Colby Arenzi is tight end for a gain of 4.
How fast do you think his heart is pounding? You know, there's Combs on the sideline there, but Tyler Stewart, redshirt freshman, third guy in because Fajardo couldn't go, and then Combs went and he got hurt. And now you're the third string guy playing at Florida State with some serious guys coming after you.
It's tough enough coming on the road to play a team of this caliber, but it is a shame that Nevada doesn't have their best available. And some trickeration does not work. Brandon Wimberly runs right into Mario Edwards Jr., who was the #1 recruit in the nation in 2012. Redshirted, and now, or as a true freshman, pardon me, had a sack and a half, but now is really a first-time primary starter as a sophomore, is starting to blossom.
Yeah, he blew up that play, even though he's got the one hand wrapped up, bandage. You know, he's doing a good job. He's learning to play every play, the coaches said. So much talent. He's learning that every single play you have to bring it.
3rd down and 10. Long throw to the sideline, and it's incomplete, intended for Brandon Wimberly. So Tyler Stewart, with pressure coming from a true freshman, DeMarcus Walker, was high and wide, and it's 3 downs and out for Nevada.
Well, at least Stewart got his feet wet. He got in there, got knocked around a little bit, threw the ball, and so maybe the butterflies go away, and maybe he's a little bit more comfortable and relaxed the next time he's out there. But this is a tough, tough deal for Nevada quarterbacks right now.
And think about the quarterback play that Wolfpack fans who are watching back in Reno right now have had over the past 8 years or so.
Colin Kaepernick.
You got Cody Fajardo, who they were calling the next Colin Kaepernick when he started to put up those numbers last year as a sophomore. Shaw tries to spin out of one tackle, gets held up and swamped under at about the 35-yard line. So speaking of terrific quarterbacks with worlds of potential, there's one right there. Jameis Winston back in after this. torch lit on Osceola outside of Doak Campbell Stadium, lit during game weekends. And that flaming spear went into the 50-yard line earlier and got the crowd going. And there's been plenty of reason, Rod Gilmore, for ACC fans in general to cheer starting off this season. 3 teams in the AP Top 15 and already some hallmark benchmark wins. There's Carlos Williams. He's down the sideline. The junior converted defensive back gets a chance to play offense. I think he just took advantage. Not bad for your first career carry, a 65-yard touchdown.
Well, he's going to be a two-way player for them. They're going to use him in the backfield. He was an outstanding safety, but they were short running back, so they moved him to the backfield to help out. He's got a little burst on him.
Talked to Jimbo Fisher about the decision to play Carlos Williams rather than on offense, or rather than on defense on offense. And he basically said he can play wherever he wants. He's that good of a player and that good of an athlete, and they put him in with James Wilder and Devontae Freeman. Now Williams is the third stringer.
Well, just look at the great blocking they get at the edge there. They're able to seal everything off over there and get to the outside. He's got a huge line, huge opening there. I mean, great blocking on the edge, completely opening that thing up for him. And he's 6'1", 220, and really fast.
That's a different level of speed. So Florida State may have been asleep in the first quarter. Ever since Jameis Winston threw that interception, though, the Noles have woken up. They were down 7-3 to start, and they have answered with 4 touchdowns to make it 31-7. Mitchell to the 12 and no further. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
Bob, time for an innovative look brought to you by AT&T. Texas is going to take on Ole Miss tonight. We know what happened to the Longhorn defense against BYU. Much how they misplayed the zone read. Something that they're going to see from the Rebels and Bo Wallace tonight. But you don't have a linebacker or a safety filling the alley. And Taysom Hill, who nobody's ever going to confuse with Marcus Mariota in terms of speed, ran wild. BYU ran for 550. We'll see on the Longhorn Network at 8 Eastern. The Horns have gotten better on D against Ole Miss.
All right, Reese, thanks very much. You want to talk about some restless natives? How about being down in Austin tonight if they start to fall behind? As Chris Solomon picks up 3 up the middle. You fire your defensive coordinator in the middle of the week, as Reese alluded to, and now you're home.
Middle of the week, right after the game.
Right after the game, I guess you're right. That's a pink slip still in the locker room, and now you've got Mac Brown, who has come under fire on the talk shows down in Austin, and certainly they will need a quick start tonight against Ole Miss. Solomon for 2 more. Brought down by Terrence Brooks. It will be 3rd down and a long 5.
Yeah, good clean tackle. You know, we get a chance. I want to follow up on your point about the ACC and the success they've had. I've heard and seen people talk about the ACC being the 4th of the Big 5 conferences.
Well, everyone will put the SEC first. Where do you think they slot in after that?
I think the discussion is between the Pac-12 and the ACC for the 2nd best conference, because the ACC has some skins on the wall this year. You know, they've taken out Florida, Georgia, and if you put Louisville in there, they got Florida in the Sugar Bowl. So the ACC has done some big stuff the last few weeks.
I like how you tilt the argument with future conference members involved as well, as Aaron Bradley, the intended receiver, back shoulder throw broken up by P.J. Williams, so it's 3 downs and out for Nevada.
Even if you take Louisville out of the argument, you're talking about Georgia and Florida, you know, 2 of the best teams in the SEC historically and this year. and the ACC took them down. So you have to give them some credit for that. Whether you put them ahead of the Pac-12 or not, that's up to you individually, but I think they have to be in the discussion, not the 4th or 5th best conference.
Wobbly punt. Returnable for Kenny Sharp. Makes the first man miss. Spins off the second man. It takes about the 4th and 5th guy to bring him down with a flag thrown as well. We'll step aside. 31-7. Florida State has the lead. Actually, we will check the penalty before we take a quick break.
Showing a return. Illegal block in the back, number 12. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down. Timeout.
Jerry McAnalis is our referee, and it's nice to hear from him for the first time today. Pacific tonight. So all Jameis Winston has had to do so far here in the second half is hand the ball off twice. And his team has scored twice. Now he'll check down underneath to Nick O'Leary, who is Jack Nicklaus's grandson.
Nice to see you make an appearance in this ball game after 3 touchdown catches against Pitt in game 1.
Folks back in Reno may not have heard that Nick O'Leary is Jack Nicklaus's grandson, but folks here at Florida State, I apologize for telling you what I think you've been told every single time that Nick O'Leary has caught the ball in his years here at Florida State. Blasting up the middle is Wilder. All the way down to the Nevada 30-yard line before he's brought down. A gain of 23 more on the ground for the Noles.
They found something on the right side where Bobby Hart and Reuben Carter have been working, and they've been just dominating the left side of Nevada's defensive line.
216 rushing yards now for Florida State. And now the Noles will call a timeout from the sideline, so we'll step aside as well. 31-7, Florida State. They struggled early, but they have made a statement since the early portion of the second quarter. Having fun now here in Tallahassee with their team on top 31-7. And the Noles are marching once again. 216 rush yards to go along with 147 yards passing by Jameis Winston and an offense, Rod Gilmore, that has found their rhythm.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. You know, after that interception, yeah, and the punt, they struggled, and then they got the flow with first short passes, then the touchdown passes, and then the rushing attack kicked in. 4 straight possessions with touchdowns.
Wilder in the backfield to the right of Winston in the shotgun. And Winston off a play-action fake. All day to throw. Over the middle, wide open at the 6-yard line. Getting loose is Benjamin. Reaches for the goal line. The ball comes out. They will rule him down at the 1.
Great protection for Winston. Had plenty of time to survey what he saw out there, and what he saw was a 2-deep coverage, the Tampa 2, with the linebacker going deep. He just dropped it underneath the linebacker, and you see possession, ball down, knee down, and then the ball goes away. That's a good call by the officiating crew.
10 straight completions now for Jameis Winston, and it's 1st and goal at the 1. Wilder up the middle, another Noles touchdown.
Wilder Jr. on the corner.
You know, if I'm Brian Polian, I'm not happy with that last play. It looked like that defensive line gave no resistance at all. Everybody standing up, being pushed back into the end zone. Somebody's got to be on the ground. And somebody's got to be in there trying to push that line of scrimmage back and stop it, but not just stand up and get pushed back.
was 7-3. Now it's 38-7. Another 4-play, 61-yard scoring drive for Florida State. We'll step aside for just a moment. James Wilder going over from 1 yard out. ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com here in Tallahassee. Another easy touchdown drive for Florida State. James Wilder capped it after a big run up the middle. Helped spark the Noles. Elijah Mitchell from inside the 5. Finds a lane. Now close to the 30-yard line before he was tripped up. One of sports' great rivalries continues on Sunday nights, dropping one to the Sox as well. So Tampa Bay's doing their best to keep everybody alive and well in the wild card race, as they have been terrible. That's a 9-yard gain on first down from Chris Solomon.
So what becomes your goal here if you're Nevada? Third string quarterback, struggling. You've lost your second stringer to knee injury. Devin Combs there, played the first half. Your starter hasn't played at all today. Cody Fajardo been out from an injury last week. You've got a redshirt freshman.
Trying to fight for the first down. DeMarcus Walker was there to make the stop for Florida State, but it is a first down carry by Chris Solomon. And there's the future for Nevada. You know, this is a game that, granted, it looks as if Nevada is not just going to lose, but lose in lopsided fashion. And you talked about it going away to break. You want to see effort.
Yeah.
But the future of this program, even in this season, is still out there with conference play, and their true leader at quarterback is going to come back from this injury that he couldn't get through this week.
Yeah, but you don't worry about the score. You don't worry about the clock. You play and you compete.
It's batted down at the line.
And that's why that touchdown run, if I'm a coach for Nevada, I'm concerned about that. Because nobody on that defensive line for Nevada did a goal line stand. Nobody got on the ground. Everybody stood up and allowed themselves to be pushed back into the end zone. And you just got to get more effort, and you got to compete, not worry about the scoreboard. And that's what Brian Polian wants.
Tyler Stewart, play action fake on second down and 10. Long throw to the sideline.
Nice.
And a nice hookup.
Nice.
Richie Turner has a first down catch. As good as that was, this is a look at the touchdown, though, and your reference to the effort level.
Watch the defensive linemen. Watch all of them. You're on the goal line. You got to get down, get in the ground, get dirty, and reestablish the line of scrimmage. You don't stand up and give them a bigger target and just get pushed back. I mean, that's what you want, more effort down there.
Solomon up the middle.
Solomon on to Gary. Pass complete to number 81, Aaron Bradley.
Get out there. Nice, easy back shoulder throw.
Back to the ground, Chris Solomon. Solomon ends up back on the ground underneath Timmy Jernigan, who enjoyed that tackle.
Yeah, he's going to enjoy a career in the NFL. He is rated as one of the top 5 defensive linemen in the draft by our Mel Kiper and Todd McShay.
Second team All-ACC last year, came into this season with 16 career tackles for loss. And that time a tackle for no gain, so it's 2nd down and 10. Interception. Tyler Hunter has the pick for Florida State.
Did you say traffic? How about commute time in LA, San Francisco, Houston, New York? I mean, there was a whole lot of traffic around there. Watch this. How many red shirts do you see? 3? And all in front of his receiver, Wimberly. I mean, Hunter was shocked. He was surprised that ball was right to him.
Tyler Hunter had 3 picks last season, primarily as the nickel guy in the slot, and that time in perfect position to get his first interception this year. Play action for Jameis Winston. Floats one to the sideline. Could Kenny Shaw be any more wide open? Running free out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
Well, it's a crossing route. You know, he knows they're playing the soft zone where everybody's dropping off, and you just bring Shaw from around here, bring him over to that side. Spotlight on him, you'll see him. Watch him. Behind the linebackers, in front of the 3 deep coverage.
Here's Carlos Williams, tripped up from behind. Nice hustle play by Brock Hecking, who was an All-Mountain West 2nd team selection last year.
Let's get a chance to watch him on the right side there. You know, Jameis Winston said he was looking forward to playing against him because he liked the hairstyle, the mullet.
Business in the front, party in the back. Jameis Winston over the middle, wide open is Nick O'Leary. He's about 5 yards shy of a first down.
You had a mullet for a while, right?
Well, that was when I was single and I really wanted to impress the ladies.
It's like a little bit of Brian Bosworth, huh? Back in the day.
3rd down and 4 here for Florida State. Straight completions now for Jameis Winston. Here comes a blitz. Steps up in the pocket, maintains his composure, and finds Rashad Green for a first down. We have an injured Knoll. The right tackle, Bobby Hart, is slow to get up. He's trying to limp back to the huddle.
I wonder if all that attention the first 10 days following that Pitt game didn't have an impact on Winston. You know, he was out of sync early on, maybe trying to do too much. Maybe some of all the attention and hype, you know, found its way in a little bit, and then he had to be kind of pulled back into reality and settle down.
A hand for Bobby Hart as he limps off the field. Sterling Lovelady takes his place at right tackle. 1st and 10 at the 11. Play action for Winston, a bootleg, and he can tuck it under, gets to the pylon, and walks it in for the touchdown. Somebody finally replaced the decaf with regular coffee on the Florida State sideline. It happens late 1st, early 2nd quarter. They have woken up since. And what was once a 7-3 Nevada lead has become a blowout with 4:41 to go in the 3rd quarter. And in a way, you feel bad for Nevada because they are fighting without all of their weapons.
Yeah. And even with all their weapons, they are a significant underdog to this team. And this time, Winston makes the right decision. There's no place for him to throw the football here. It was going to be a risky throw. The good decision to run that ball in. And he can take care of himself. He's a really good-looking quarterback. 6'4", 225 pounds.
Celebrating its 9th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3 million in scholarship monies.
What do you think? Winston done for the day?
Well, this is still the tune-up part of the schedule. They got the road win 2 weeks ago against Pitt. Bethune-Cookman is next. So after you play Nevada, it's basically those kind of two tune-up games. And then Boston College will open up the ACC schedule in a couple of weeks. And that's where this team will try and make hay. As you mentioned, you know, the ACC, as this kick sails out of bounds, should have enough credibility as a conference with some of these good wins they've had early that their winner, especially if it's an undefeated winner, has got a great chance to play for the national championship.
Yeah, I just don't know that you're going to get an undefeated
Free kick
team.
out of bounds. The ball's been placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
I mean, you think about the way that Clemson is playing and how they look. Keep in mind the way Miami has come around.
And how much might come down to the matchup between Clemson and Florida State. That's October 19th. The Noles go up to Death Valley to take on the Tigers. And that right now looks like the game in the conference that everyone is going to be circling. Now, you can't count out Miami. Florida State has to play Miami at home on November 2nd. They close this year with the game between the Gators and the Seminoles at the Swamp, and that's always a pride game. It's a rivalry game. It's the end of the season, rivalry weekend. So there's so much football between now and the end of the year. But if Jameis Winston settles into the season and looks like the natural, the way he did against Pitt in some of these big games, well, Florida State's got a chance.
That's right, and I think that Clemson game is huge. And if you're a Florida State fan, you look at Jameis Winston today and you go, okay, he had a tough time. He overcame it and started to play like you expect him to play. So that's a good sign for you. But still, there's a lot of tough sledding ahead. That Clemson game, Florida, Miami, and that schedule is
you start to put the circles around certain games. At Clemson, certainly home Miami, and at Florida. Those are the games that jump out. So one more tune-up against Bethune-Cookman before the ACC schedule begins, and then games that you would think they would be lopsided favorites in at BC and Maryland to start the conference schedule.
Well, I think there's going to be a real battle for that. Who's the second best conference? You know, if you pencil in an SEC team in the championship, where does that other championship team come from? The Pac-12, the ACC? I think the least likely places are the Big 12 and the Big 10.
Coming on the blitz was Tyler Hunter.
Uh-oh.
And Tyler Stewart held onto the football as long as he possibly could. And it might have been a half beat too long. It'll be 4th and 5.
There he is, right there.
Untouched, unrecognized, and that's a redshirt freshman, third-string quarterback that is seeing speed. That's at a different level than what he sees when he's taking limited snaps against Nevada's backups in practice. This is an NFL punt. Chase Tenpenny all the way down to about the 6-yard line. Shaw weaving his way out to the 22. 16-yard return after a 53-yard punt. Well, the new head coach at Nevada, of course, is Brian Polian. And yes, he is from that Polian family. It is the family tree of Bill Polian, who now works with us at ESPN, former Bills and Colts GM and president. But his son, Chris, director of pro personnel with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another son, Dennis, director of football administration with the Tennessee Titans. And Brian Polian, who has coached at some big-time stops, including Stanford, Notre Dame, obviously Texas A&M last season, special teams coach with the Aggies, and now he gets a chance to take over here. Jacob Coker in at quarterback, and a handoff to Carlos Williams. With a flag down in the secondary, Williams is all the way out to the 46-yard line. But he's trying now to put his own stamp on this Nevada program. We talked to him about taking over for Chris Hall.
Personal foul, face mask, number 7, defense, 15 yards from the end of the play, first down.
And Brian Polian said, look, I'm not trying to be Chris Hall. He's a legend. He built the program, certainly has all the respect in the world for Chris Hall, but he's not blowing things up for the sake of change. However, he did say that to say that he inherited a well-oiled machine that's just chugging along would be a fallacy. Well, very thin on the offensive line, holes in recruiting. He's putting his own stamp on this program.
Yeah, well, they've got a couple of classes where they need better recruiting. They've got 22, 26 players that they can line up and play against anybody in the country, but they don't have any depth beyond that.
Hard run for Carlos Williams.
Good day of work for Jameis Winston. You know, a lot of folks said around these parts about Coker that he outplayed Winston during fall camp.
Well, when you get the top quarterback recruit in the country, sometimes that means that a player that has similar eligibility left, Jacob Coker's only a redshirt sophomore, think about transferring. But he opted to stay and take on Winston. Lost the job to start the season. Play action fake as Coker tries to avoid the rush. Rifles one to the sideline. That's a big-time throw. And a first down completion to Levante Whitfield.
Big-time throw, big-time composure, and big-time footwork. Moves well enough to buy time. Feels it, keeps his eyes down the field, keeps his composure, squares his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, and makes a good throw. Yeah, that's my buddy.
So Jameis Winston, who finished with 13 straight completions, now watching Jacob Coker do work. Carlos Williams for a gain of 4.
Carlos Williams on the carry.
The only blemish really for Jameis Winston today, the interception. Almost a perfect game, certainly perfect after the interception to go along with was almost a perfect game against Pitt.
Well, you know, he had the pick, but I also thought his decision-making early was not that great. I think he got better and got into the flow of the game as it went along. But I thought in the first quarter, I mean, besides the pick, you know, there were chances to dump the ball off. There were chances to let his receivers do things, and I didn't think his decision-making was great early on.
Coker throws one away as he was being chased.
But things aren't always going to go perfectly for you as a player. And to see him bounce back and to see him get back to the way he was and then not skip a beat, I mean, that's what you love.
Well, reading some stories about how he has basically been trained to do this. He was 4 years old when he began football, and he got into football because his mom thought he'd be cute in pads. Well, that's as good enough reason as any, I guess, to start. But by age 6, he was asking his father what audibles were. So he had well progressed in 2 years. At 6 years old, wanted to know how to check off at the line of scrimmage. Here comes a blitz. Coker throws it left, and it's incomplete. And then by the time he was in middle school, he was filling up a notebook with what to do against cover 3, cover 4, cloud coverages, and how to move a defense around with his eyes.
But he didn't skip out on the academics. He was a 4.0 plus in high school. And Brian Polian was telling us when Polian was at Stanford, they recruited him and thought they had a good shot at him. So he's very familiar with him. He says, yeah, this kid is really, really sharp.
33-yard field goal attempt coming for Roberto Aguayo. And it is now 48-7. It has been some kind of third quarter for the Florida State Seminoles and Jameis Winston. A big reason why this game has become lopsided.
Oh, yeah. He started out kind of slowly, but then really got it going, dropping these passes in. First he got Shaw, then he gets Green over in the right corner, and then a nice run. Holds the secondary back there in the end zone, cruises into the end zone, and that was about it for him for the day. Good work.
So Florida State will undoubtedly improve to 2-0. They're in the top 25 for 41 of the last 51 weeks under Jimbo Fisher, and they're going to stay there with this guy at quarterback.
You know what they're missing? Inside running. And I think Carlos Williams is a big enough guy to give them that push inside. They've got the speed on the outside with Freeman and Wilder, but having a big back who can run inside could help them down the road.
Nigel Westbrook's from a yard deep. And he is brought down at the 17-yard line. It's time now for our Discover Game Changer, brought to you by Discover Card. Remember, it was 17-7 to start off the second half, and then a big run from Devontae Freeman to set up the touchdown, changed everything.
Yeah, Freeman got to the outside. They started working on the right side of that line, and then when Carlos Williams came in, he took one handoff and went 65, and at 6'1", 229 pounds, he is a load, and he gives them that presence to run inside, but still great speed to the outside.
So it's a 31-point quarter for Florida State. That has taken almost a 10-point game at halftime and mirrored for Nevada what happened to them against UCLA. They were down by 4 at halftime to the Bruins and ended up losing 58-20.
Got to fight through it. You know, I know what that's like. I've been on the field in a couple of those situations where you have to fight through the fact that you're down this far and you can't let your mind wander about, got to get on the plane. You've got to focus on the game and play the next play. I was certain you were going to ask me how many times I went through that.
A carry for about 4 yards for Solomon. I can't imagine it was more than once or twice. And that should take us to the end of the third quarter. Considering who your quarterback was, how many times could you have possibly been blown out? Well, this has become a blowout here at Doak Campbell Stadium. What a quarter it was for the Florida State Seminoles as they are blowing out Nevada. It is Doak Campbell Stadium, but it's Bobby Bowden Field. As for nearly 4 decades, he patrolled the sidelines here at Doak Campbell. 48-7, his old team has the lead. And it was fun talking to Jimbo Fisher yesterday, I thought, Rod Gilmore, about what he thought his team was capable of this season. You can see 284 yards in the third quarter. Close to 200 yards rushing. They've got 485 yards in total now. And here's a completion for about 4 yards for the Wolfpack. But asking Jimbo Fisher about having to follow Bobby Bowden, and obviously he was here on the coaching staff as the head coach in waiting, and how he said, you know, really it was such a seamless transition because all of the core values of what I really think are important about a program mirrored everything that Bobby Bowden had always preached about what he thought was important in a football program. He said we had to modernize, we had to change, we had to go along with the times with, you know, computerizing and digitalizing your system and how you scout, how you recruit and all that. But really what the real foundation of the program was is the foundation that Bobby Bowden set. Stewart, another completion and a broken tackle. Nice run down the sideline. Colby Arenzi picks up a first down.
Well, I think you're right about that. And I think a lot of people forget that Jimbo Fisher has known the Bowden family for a long, long time. He played for Terry Bowden. And through that relationship, he got to know, you know, Bobby Bowden. And so he was heavily influenced by Bobby Bowden, even when he was a player way back in the day.
It was interesting to hear him talk about the fact that when he was a player and a young coach, he would come to the Noles camp in the summer. As this handoff shut down at the line is Chris Solomon by DeMarcus Walker. And what do all the coaches do after they have the youth camp? Well, they all go back and hang out together at night.
Yeah.
And he said, I'd be sitting on Bobby Bowden's porch, you know, having a beer with the Bowden family, and we just sit there and talk coaching all night and talk about what Bobby Bowden believes on how you run your program, how you recruit, what the foundation ought to be.
He played for Terry Bowden and coached with him at Auburn. Moved over to Florida State as an offensive coordinator several years ago, and as you said, was the coach in waiting. I mean, just a lot of history with the Bowden family.
Here comes the blitz. Trying to escape. nowhere to go. How about the little shovel pass for Tyler Stewart as he finds Chris Solomon with a flag down. Solomon gets all the way back to the line of scrimmage, but we'll have to check the penalty. Good for Tyler Stewart, though, to stand in there, face that rush from Jacoby McDaniel, and somehow keep his composure and find Solomon.
Well, this is the
Illegal block in the back, number 2 of the offense. It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay, second down.
biggest venue that young man has played football in, Tyler Stewart. You think about him being a redshirt freshman out of Simi Valley, California. He's not been in a stadium like this before. You come out here and you got all the pomp and circumstance. You got the chop going and whatnot, and all of a sudden you're in the game? You're in the game? Really?
Well, that is the unfortunate part of today for Nevada. This is a proud program. Chris Ault built a program that put Colin Kaepernick on a national stage, and now he, of course, is a star in the NFL. But they get to bowl games. They've won bowl games. Last year, they were in a shootout with Arizona in the New Mexico Bowl. And now they've got Brian Polian that takes over, but he, of course, is without his best players today on offense. And still his backups did a very admirable job early of keeping the game close, but sooner or later, the talent disparity was going to become apparent.
Think about that, though. You play a backup guard who's your second string guy, and he holds his own, but in this weather, you can't bring in the next guy to give him a blow, and it has an impact. You're playing with your third string running back. You can't give him the blow, and then you lose your second string quarterback. You didn't have enough time to get your third string quarterback ready all season long. You just don't have enough reps in practice for that.
3rd down and 16 as Chris Solomon has got over 100 yards rushing. He's up to 108 yards in the game. Long throw over the middle and no chance to complete it for Tyler Stewart.
Well, this is a good experience for Tyler Stewart to be on this stage, to face this kind of a defense. I mean, he will not face a defense this fast, this athletic, again in his time at Nevada.
On the punt for Nevada is Tenpenny.
Chase Tenpenny to punt once again. And now Jesus Wilson drops back to receive the punt. Nice spiraling kick by Tenpenny. Wilson fields it and makes the first man miss at the 15. He can fly. And he's out close to the 30-yard line, maybe across the 30 before he's brought down, as Florida State has the football once again. You want a terrific story? How about Florida State's Myron Rolle? 2008, the junior safety named a finalist for a Rhodes Scholarship. His interview was scheduled in Birmingham, Alabama. At the same time, Florida State was to play Maryland in College Park. The NCAA decided to allow Rolle to take a charter plane from his interview to the game. He made it in time to play and became the 4th FSU student, as well as the only FSU football player to be awarded a Rhodes Scholarship. There have been a lot of terrific faces that could be the face of this program, but none more so exemplary of what Florida State wants their program to be all about than Myron Rolle. Carlos Williams brought down after a loss of about a yard. Let's go down to Quinn.
Thanks, Bob. Myron, I want to ask you about that night, that charter flight and the interview process, and then a football game. What was that like?
It was amazing. It was remarkable. You know, I came into Florida State with the ambition to be a great athlete, a great student, and that night sort of encapsulated all of the dreams that I had coming in, and we were able to win the game. I won the scholarship, and it was just a tremendous time that really changed the trajectory of my life at that point.
You studied at Oxford also. What was most memorable about that experience?
Well, Oxford was amazing. You know, it's a very liberal course study. I got to meet some incredible people. I traveled every weekend. I gained some intellectual capital in the process, stayed in shape, came back to the NFL, played a little bit, but Oxford was a tremendous experience. I recommend it to any young college student who wants to get a little more breadth of knowledge when they do the college experience.
Tell the fans at home what you're doing back on campus now in a lab coat, I hear.
Yeah. A first-year medical student here at FSU College of Medicine. You know, I've wanted to be a neurosurgeon since I was in 5th grade. It's voluminous. The material is a lot. We're taking in breadth of knowledge right now. But, you know, hopefully I can be an outstanding physician one day that serves the underserved, and it's a great experience for me. Voluminous,
that's a word. I'm a Hopkins graduate. We've never even used the word voluminous. Coming from a guy who got your degree in 2.5 years.
Yeah. You know, Coach Bowden and the staff here at FSU, they really helped me focus in the classroom, do well on the field, be a citizen of the world in the community, grow spiritually. Everything I wanted to do, I got done at FSU. Came in with AP credits, so I was able to finish early, and it's just a blessing.
Hot item right now in college sports, the compensation of college athletes. You're a smart guy. What is your opinion on that whole issue?
Well, I do think college athletes should be compensated, and not just the major revenue-generating sports, football and basketball, because there's so much time commitment that we put into the sport. We work hard, we sweat, and colleges and other local communities make a lot of money from the sport. So I feel like the athletes should be paid a bit, and you know, I think you might be able to mitigate some of the outside influences and pressures that gets guys in troubles at times.
When you're done with medical school, maybe you can go to business school and figure out a model.
Perhaps. Hopefully I can save some lives on the operating table, though.
Myron, congratulations. Continued success. You're a real role model for all these athletes.
Thank you very much.
Bob.
That is well put, Quint. Maybe Myron Roll can head over to the bench and, with the lab coat on, help out Wilson Bell, the true freshman left tackle that had to be helped off the field. That was the injury. But if you want a face on the Mount Rushmore of your university, that's one of the faces you want there.
You know, how about college football?
In general.
Intellectual capital, mitigation, voluminous. Yeah.
I remember doing a Florida State game several years ago, and we talked to Myron Roll, and about 1 or 2 minutes into the conversation, all I could think of was, man, this guy is way smarter than me. I better up my game in terms of the questions I'm asking. But a terrific young man, Jacob Coker. Will tuck it under and run, and a little cutback. He's not going to slide as he gets out close to midfield. Evan Favors with a heavy hit on Jacob Coker, and we have another injury, this time to the Wolfpack.
That's good for another Florida State.
It looks like Charles Garrett down there.
It is Charles Garrett, who missed the Cal Davis game last week, suspended for a violation of team rules. They get him back this week, but their defense overwhelmed in the third quarter by Florida State.
Good to see him on his feet. He'll give way. Probably Bryson Keaton will step in and take his place. But this defense has been on the field an awful lot, and it is incredibly warm down there. I was surprised at how many insects and bugs were flying around the field down. It was hot and muggy down there with insects all over the place.
Well, we knew sooner or later in this game that the weather conditions were going to wear out Nevada. And the problem certainly for them offensively is their skill position depth just wasn't there. They were suffering so many injuries at their most important positions. And if the quarterback and the running backs are thinned out in a pistol offense, sooner or later, it's going to catch up.
Forget about it. Yep.
That last run, by the way, by Jacob Coker puts Florida State over 500 yards total offense. And now going over 100 yards rushing is Carlos Williams. 2 100-yard rushes today for Florida State. He's still working for a gain of 11 as we go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Bob, Alabama and Texas A&M Crimson Tide asserting its will. This will finish an 83-yard drive. Kenyon Drake going in to score. Tide doubling up the Aggies late in the third, 42-21.
Does that surprise you at all, Rod Gilmore, that Alabama's starting to pull away a bit in College Station?
Well, no, I think the question was always A&M's defense, and could they hang in there? And clearly Alabama is starting to find its rhythm with their offensive line and wearing them down. Not to mention A.J. McCarron making some big throws.
Counter toss to the true freshman Ryan Green. Not fair. When you can bring in the fourth quarter a fresh body off the bench. Devontae Freeman, James Wilder, Carlos Williams, they've all had a chance. Now it's Ryan Green's turn, and he gets them to the red zone.
Well, think about this Nevada team. Against UCLA, they made it to halftime down 17-13. They were close at halftime here, although it was starting to slip away. You can see this team can't hang in there for 3-4 quarters against the elite teams, but they can play with them in the first half.
handoff to the fullback. That's Nick O'Leary? No.
Now that's some effort up front by Nevada. Lenny Jones, 94, sticking his nose in there, trying to make a play. That's the kind of effort you want to see when you go back and watch tape tomorrow on this game. Were they fighting in the fourth quarter? Ignore the scoreboard and play your heart out.
Freddie Stevenson on that last carry. And just to know, in a game like this, how deep the Noles go into the depth chart, he is the third string fullback who was listed as a linebacker on their roster. But now he gets a chance to play on the offensive side of the ball. Coker off a play action fake, and guess who? He finds the linebacker. Stevenson down to the 11-yard line. This is a school, and in a way that play brings to mind the position changes that so many players for Florida State have made under Jimbo Fisher. I mean, he has taken players on both sides of the ball and flipped them to the opposite side, and with a lot of success. As we have another injury here, Evan Favors, the cornerback, is down and holding his right shoulder. So while we have an injury timeout, we'll step aside. Third down and short coming up for Florida State. It's a great tradition here at Florida State. The Sod Cemetery started back in 1962. Captains of the FSU football team returned to Tallahassee with a piece of turf after beating Georgia at Sanford Stadium. And since burying the first piece of sod, it's become a Seminole tradition. They bring pieces of sod back from landmark FSU road and bowl wins and bury it in the Sod Cemetery.
Oh, you know, that would have started a fight. You're not taking my sod.
And off to Stevenson. How about this? Did he lose the football before he broke the play? No, it's a touchdown.
I'm not sure he got in there. It might have been a generous call. Let's see. Is his knee down before he gets into the end zone?
Yes.
Oh, he's not even close.
Even when he lost the ball,
Yeah.
the ball hadn't broken the play.
He's not in. He's not in at all.
What I have to imagine would have been Freddie Stevenson's first ever touchdown run.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
Is about to be taken away.
Well, Stevenson will get another look at it.
Well, maybe the right thing to do if you're Jimbo Fisher, if this does indeed get overturned by review, you put Freddie Stevenson right back in there.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
On the goal line and give him a chance.
The way he tried to get into that end zone, I'd give him another shot at it. You see the 48 points up there in our graphic listed for today. We're assuming that even if this doesn't stand, that they're going to line up and punch it in to get the 48. My math, 48 plus 6, 54.
Stanford, I understand. Here's the ruling.
After further review, the runner is down at the 1-yard line. It will be first and goal, Florida State. The clock will start on the ready for play.
So here comes the freshman, Freddie Stevenson. Right back in the game. Came to FSU back in January and took part in spring practice.
Is there any chance that anybody other than Stevenson gets the ball here?
Well, he came theoretically as a linebacker. He was a linebacker primarily in high school, but he has been moved over to the offensive side of the ball by Jimbo Fisher, which we touched on earlier. The success that Jimbo Fisher has had in trying to recruit versatile athletes, players that he knows can move to different positions where it suits them best, and some players that he's putting into the NFL at positions that they were not originally brought to Florida State to play. High formation, Freddie Stevenson. There's the touchdown.
Well, good for him. He tried so hard to get that ball in there on the previous play. Good job to put him right back in there and give it to him.
It is now 55-7. And it is 52 unanswered points by Florida State. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah, and he did. He came right back very next play, and his first touchdown.
It was a sluggish start for the Seminoles, but they have worn out their flag runners as they've got 55 on the board now. Jameis Winston has been done for quite a while. College football presented by Cars.com. He keyed the takeover of this game, and then the backups have done just as well for the Noles to blow it wide open 55-7 over Nevada. Clay Picker this time will kick it deep for Florida State. And Westbrook's from about the 2. We'll step aside midway through the fourth quarter. It is all Florida State here in Tallahassee.
Any last requests, Mr. Baldwin?
Mind grabbing my phone and opening the Capital One Purchase Eraser? I need to redeem some venture miles before my demise.
Okay.
It's easy to erase any recent travel expense I want. Just pick that flight right there. Give it a few taps, and it's taken care of.
This is pretty easy. And I see it works on hotels, too.
You bet. Now, if you like that, press the red button on top. How did he not see that coming? What's in your wallet?
We went out and asked people a simple question. How old is the oldest person you've known? We gave people a sticker and had them show us. We learned a lot of us have known someone who's lived well into their 90s, and that's a great thing. But even though we're living longer, one thing that hasn't changed much is the official retirement age. The question is, how do you make sure you have the money you need to enjoy all of these years?
HTC Hipster Troll Car Wash. They love it now. Can you switch it up? I need options.
Put change in your hand with the all-metal HTC One and Boom Sound. Dual front stereo speakers for sound worth sharing. HTC, here's to change.
The HTC One, now available at Verizon.
Cheez-It brings you crunchy new zings.
Hey, what's that?
Oh, new Cheez-It Zings, the crunchiest Cheez-It yet.
Looks pretty amazing.
Yep.
So appetizing, mesmerizing, accessorizing,
ooh,
scandalizing.
That's wrong. Please, no.
Wild zings.
We take the time for our cheese to mature before we bake it into all our crackers like crunchy new zings. Because at Cheez-It, real cheese matters.
A very interesting doubleheader on college football primetime on ESPN, presented by Hampton Hotels tonight. It begins at 7 Eastern. A battle in the SEC East between Vanderbilt and Jadeveon Clowney and number 13 South Carolina. And then a very interesting matchup in the desert at 10:30 Eastern. As the Badgers go on the road to take on Arizona State. College football primetime on ESPN tonight beginning at 7. And then at 10:30 as well, also live on Watch ESPN. First down run goes nowhere. Nate McLaurin was brought down by Reggie Northrup.
I'll tell you, Jeremy Pruitt, defensive coordinator of Florida State, has changed the approach here with this defense. They are much more aggressive. They're much more of a blitzing team and a man-to-man cover team than Florida State's been the last couple of years. And that's something he brought over that Jimbo Fisher really wanted.
McLaurin again, and again he's bottled up. It was interesting talking to Jeremy Pruitt about that. You know, Mark Stoops was known more as a coverage guy, and Pruitt comes in more as a blitz guy. But Jeremy Pruitt said, well, remember their front four last season? They didn't need to blitz too often to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
We might have more of a blitz scheme this year, sending a 5th and 6th player after the quarterback, because they lost 7 players to the NFL off of this defense.
Well, and Jimbo Fisher said that this pressure defense helps his offense in practice. They see every kind of look.
Third down and 14, so Tyler Stewart to throw, and that was almost intercepted.
Well,
should have been picked. Matthew Thomas, the true freshman, had it go right through his hands.
Well, Pruitt will be happy with Thomas and the other youngsters back there playing. He says he's got some really talented young players in the secondary, and he knows secondary play as he was Nick Saban's defensive backfield coach last year at Alabama.
And Jimbo Fisher is recruiting the way Florida State ought to recruit. You've got Matthew Thomas, who should have had that pick, but on our ESPN 150, he was number 6 and the number 1 overall outside linebacker recruit from Miami. Got Mario Edwards, who was the number 1 recruit in the nation 2 years ago, and is really coming on now as a true sophomore. Jesus Wilson chased all the way back to his own 25. Well, Jameis Winston has the kind of future at quarterback that seems limitless, and there have been some pretty good ones to come through Tallahassee. Charlie Ward, of course, won the Heisman in 1993. Our colleague now, Danny Cannell, 57 career touchdown passes. Chris Wenke won a Heisman as well, as he became the oldest player to win the Heisman at 28. Christian Ponder now in Minnesota playing for the Vikings. And E.J. Manuel, the only quarterback taken in the first round of the NFL draft this past spring by the Buffalo Bills.
That's quite a group of quarterbacks, and after last week, a lot of folks were talking about Winston being in the Heisman race. I don't think there should be any Heisman talk after the first week.
There goes Ryan Green, another long run. First Florida State first down.
There should be no Heisman talk after the first week for anybody.
Another quarterback change as well for Florida State. They've got Sean McGuire now in at quarterback, as Jameis Winston with 5 total incompletions on the season. That includes the Pitt game.
Yeah, more touchdown passes than incompletions.
And the third stringer, McGuire, now in at quarterback from Sparta, New Jersey. Played his high school football at Seton Hall Prep. And let's go back to Reese Davis. Hey, Reese, we have tried to keep track of that game as best we can here as well. Every time you check in on whether or not Texas A&M has scored a touchdown to make it a 2-score game again, they have. But by the time you check, Alabama's offense is back in the red zone against the Texas A&M defense, ready to tack on another score themselves.
Clearly, the weakness of that A&M team is its defense, as Alabama has kind of burned them up today. 42 points already and threatening, and someone else down for Florida State now.
It's Cam Ponder, who was the backup fullback, is down and injured. While the training staff takes a look at Cam Ponder, let's take a look at what remains for Nevada. Obviously, their only win so far against UC Davis, so they're going to fall to 1-2. But now they start to focus on conference play and getting their best players, and certainly Cody Fajardo, number 1 on that list, healthy before you get into what is now looming out there for all of these teams, and that is play in their own conference.
Well, the bad news is that they got their backup quarterback Combs hurt today. That's an issue. The good news is that since they didn't play their starter, Fajardo, he might be able to come back next week. And they also found a running back in Chris Solomon. I mean, Solomon was a 3rd stringer and played very well today.
After the injury timeout, McGuire looks to throw, and instead he'll run. And he has a first down.
How far do you think this Florida State team can go?
Well, it all hinges on that game at Clemson. If they win at Clemson, then I would probably pick them to go undefeated. I think they can run the table.
Even though they would still have Florida at the end of the year.
And they'd have Florida on the road.
And they'd have an ACC championship game.
I think they're better than Florida.
Okay.
I just think they're a better team.
Okay. I would agree with that. I think they're more balanced than Florida right now.
I think between the two teams, And here's a handoff with plenty of room for Ryan Green. He breaks the tackle. Green to the 10. Reaches for the pylon. Is he in? No signal. The officials confirm. Now it is ruled a touchdown.
A great change of direction run by Green. When he finds his way back out to the left side, that change of direction gives him the opening, and then the effort to get in. Now that left foot looked like it went out of bounds at about the 1 or so, but I can't tell from that angle whether he got the ball in before that.
Did he step out before he tucked the ball inside the pylon?
It looked like that left foot was out before he got to the goal line.
And with 3:03 to go.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
Just what this game needs. A replay review, but I think it gives us a chance to talk about, as we take another look and see if he does indeed get the ball across the goal line before the foot steps out.
Yeah, look for the left foot. It was the left foot that looked like it was out at about the 2, just shy of the 2, and the ball had not crossed the plane yet.
I'm going to turn it around, though, and put it on you.
How's that?
Florida State and their hopes. They have to go to Clemson.
Yeah.
Who's the better team? On a neutral field, take home, away out of it. You think Florida State or Clemson is the better team?
I'm going to give the edge to Clemson right now because
and Clemson's home.
Taj Boyd and home. Taj Boyd, veteran quarterback, has seen it all, been through it all. He may very well be, a first-round pick in the draft. He's
already proved themselves in a big game.
In a tough situation. I would lean to him over the very good but still young, inexperienced redshirt freshman and Jameis Winston.
Here's the ruling.
Runner stepped out of bounds prior to crossing the goal line. The ball will be placed at the half-a-yard line. It will be first and goal. The clock will go on the ready for play.
Have to think Ryan Green will probably get a second chance as well, but then I'll take it forward because I think we're probably in agreement. Clemson, Miami, Florida. Those are the real benchmark games. Those will be the games that will determine Florida State's fate unless
Correct.
they get
I agree.
really upset by someone else on their schedule. So they've got Miami here in Tallahassee. Who's the better team, Florida State or Miami?
I think Florida State's the better team, but I keep saying the one thing that's missing is that inside running presence, which is why I believe they started getting Carlos Williams involved. A big back who can run and can run inside with great speed. And if he keeps coming along, they've got something.
Here's Ryan Green, and he becomes the 8th different player today to score a touchdown for Florida State. And then, of course, for the Noles, you've got the game at the end of the season on the road against Florida. So out of the 3 games, I think we agree. Clemson, you have to give the edge.
Yes.
They're the better team, and they're at home. So that's going to be the litmus test. If they can win that game, boy, would Florida State have all the momentum you think they might need to run the table, because even though they still have Miami and Florida, and Florida's on the road, I think we both agree that we would probably give them the edge in both of those games as the better team.
I'd give them the edge, but I would not mark them in the championship game.
Even if they ran the table?
Well, even then, I'm still looking at what's happening in the Pac-12. If you've got an undefeated Oregon or an undefeated Stanford, I think the edge may go that way.
Saturday Night Football on ABC.
Well, at one point, we had a 7-3 Nevada lead, a 10-7 game late in the second quarter, 17-7 at halftime, and then it just got out of hand.
Eight total touchdowns by Florida State by 8 different players. The return and some room for Nigel Westbrook. Stays in bounds all the way out close to the 40-yard line before he's brought down. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in Tallahassee, but it is not over yet in College Station. As we continue to get updates between Alabama and Texas A&M, and Johnny Football's making enough plays, it's a one-score game.
Wow, that one's a long way from being over. 8 minutes to go in that ball game, and Johnny Football coming up with big touchdown passes late. Unbelievable. You've got, what, 77 points in that game already? Wow.
Nate McLaurin Out to about the 41-yard line, and this will take us under 2.5 minutes to go. So number 10 Florida State is doing what exactly it is we expected them to do, although it took them a little longer to get the job done than maybe Jimbo Fisher would have liked today. They were running in sand and seemed to be sleepwalking through the first half, but then Jameis Winston woke up. The offense got a couple of scores. That defense started to hum against the backups forced into the game by injury for Nevada. And now even the third and fourth stringers are doing a good job here in the second half as Eligwe makes that tackle.
But, you know, I believe this game would have been more competitive for a longer period of time had Nevada been at full strength. I'm not saying they would have won this ball game.
No question.
But if they'd had their starting quarterback, starting guard, I think it changes the way that game is in the first half. Maybe it's closer at halftime. Maybe it doesn't start to slip away as quickly as it did in the third quarter.
Well, that young man, Cody Fajardo, he represented their chance to play today and compete because he's a very special player. And now a throwaway by Tyler Stewart. It'll be 4th down and about 7. And waving the white flag, obviously, is Brian Poley. And he'll send his punt unit out there, let Florida State take a knee. And that will take care of this game. But he said to us during the week that unless he was totally convinced that Cody Fajardo, and probably used that same litmus test at halftime for Devin Combs, unless Cody Fajardo could protect himself in this game because they run the pistol. So, you know, as you said, Rod, the quarterback's going to run the ball. He would not start him. He was going to be judged this year on conference play.
Yeah, and the challenge now for Brian Poley and Nevada is to get home, not worry about this game. Don't even watch the film. And get ready for conference play. Get your team healthy, get your quarterback back, and get squared away for conference play.
We talked about Johnny Manziel, and now we have updated numbers. Last season, of course, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. Today, he's got 403 yards passing. He's got 493 yards of total offense today.
Can we put to rest the notion that his offseason impacted his ability to perform on the field?
You think he's getting the job done? Is that what you're saying?
He can flat out play. You know? And he's clearly putting his work in, getting ready.
Sean McGuire with a handoff. And a helmet comes popping off. And now instead, I'm not sure, with the carry going to Nigel Terrell, who is also listed on Florida State's depth chart as a linebacker. I'm not sure why Jimbo Fisher doesn't just have McGuire take a knee.
Well, I think that's probably the case now. I think he was trying to make sure that they weren't going to have to punt the ball. I think given now that they can probably, you know, run out the clock here, that should be what they would do.
And now it is a knee taken by McGuire. So that will officially wind the clock inside of 40 seconds. One more knee is all that is necessary, and Florida State will polish off a 62-7 win.
Long way to go for Brian Poley and his Nevada team. He's one of the youngest coaches in all of college football. Kind of learned his trade from Jim Harbaugh, Charlie Weiss, Kevin Sumlin.
And everything that Nevada can accomplish for their season is still there.
Yeah, still in front of them.
And you're right, that's what they have to keep in mind. And that's what they have to keep focused on. They will get healthy and they will play important football games. But Florida State, with Jameis Winston at quarterback and Jimbo Fisher with this program rolling, looks like they may have a special year. They were special this afternoon. 62-7 is the final. Up next, college football scoreboard. So long from Tallahassee. Back to Reese Davis in our ESPN studios.